Hello and welcome to another episode of Photography Behind the Scenes. A couple weeks ago I took you with me in the night shooting some photos around a hospital on a roll of CineStill 800T. In that video I shot right about half the roll, and today I'm taking you with me again to shoot the rest of the roll in the early morning before the light of day comes out, starting here at the underground station. I've been to this station a couple times already, and it has always intrigued me with its architecture and overall design, so that I knew that this place suits a roll of CineStill 800T very well. And so after getting off the train I decided to start off with a simple wide shot of the whole station. This is the result, and I'd say we're off to a great start. It's a simple shot, but it works wonderfully I find. The leading lines pull me into the scene, and the look of CineStill 800T is so pleasing in combination with this environment. I think another important factor that makes this shot interesting is the emptiness. You can see in the clock that it was 5:40 in the morning, and so at this time not many people were up yet. Next, I moved to the left and quickly found another scene that I felt was worth a shot. That's the thing in this station, everywhere I looked there was a composition to be shot, so starting here was really giving me a good head start. Here is the result, and I like this one too. I think it's not as effective as the first shot, which was clearer in composition and had a more interesting contrast with the darker right side of the frame. In this case, the whole frame is quite evenly lit, which just isn't as intriguing, but nevertheless I think the film and this scene work together really well and create a good photograph. Then I moved onto the stairs on the other side and basically got the same shot again. This one is cool I find, and I think it works better than the previous one, even though they are so similar. What I like here is the closed environment. The wall at the end shows us that we're looking at a corner which encloses us within this small space, and again its emptiness is what makes it intriguing, for me at least. Then I headed to those escalators to move down, however first decided to stop to get another shot. Here's the result. For a change, this is a closer shot showing some more detail than the previous photos. I really like the glowing red spots at the top of the stairs, so right in the foreground. Generally speaking, I would say that this shot focuses on the interesting design of the stairs with the red box and the camera on top. I like it. Then I had gone down, and as I looked back at the stairs that I just came from, I decided that this scene is worth another shot. Here is the result, and this one is a weaker one in my opinion. I like the idea that I had, but it didn't work out so well. What caught me initially was the ceiling that cut off the stairs in the upper half of the frame. However, I think what breaks the shot for me is the foreground with these orange handlebars. They don't seem to assist the shot, instead they clutter it, so unfortunately this one didn't work out so well. Then I continued to wander around the station, which at this time had a couple people roaming through the hallways, but it was still possible to get a chance at shooting the place in moments of emptiness. I found this cool angle looking down the hall and set up a shot. after waiting for my chance for a couple minutes, I got this shot, which is alright I find. The angle and subject matter still work for me now looking at the result, but the right hand side feels a bit distracting and out of place in comparison to the left. So I had found a nice angle to shoot the top of these escalators and set up a simple, straightforward shot picturing the scene. The result is again alright I'd say, but not outstanding. I still like the scene and the lighting and all, but it feels a bit cluttered. Now this isn't necessarily bad, but what I liked in the first few photos was that they felt empty and sort of tidy yet full, and this one too feels full but without the tidiness. I think it might be because of a multitude of details that could act as subjects and hence end up distracting the viewer by pulling the focus of the photo in various directions. For example, the bins on the left edge feel that way. I left them there on purpose thinking they might add a neat detail to the shot, but now I find them to be distracting and pulling my view like a magnet towards the left side of the frame, even though the focus is supposed to be concentrated in the middle. Then around the corner I found this corridor space, which of course I felt compelled to shoot with its leading lines and depth. So, seeing as I've done the straight down a road or a corridor kind of shot so often, I decided to try a new angle and went for this one, which focuses on the pillar with the sign on it and the path is on the left side of the frame. A small detail that I like a lot are the two people that made it into the frame on the right hand side. I'm not entirely sure yet though what to think of this composition. It works, but also kind of doesn't, but it's hard to put into words. I enjoy the scattered focus in this particular case, but also feel like having the path on the left side is a bit strange, maybe even misleading. I think this is the type of shot that I need to give some time, and maybe in half a year or so I can better understand what I think of it. Then I had left the station and was wandering around and then looked down below the path here and spotted this garage, which looked interesting. What caught me here and still does now is the light that comes out of the garage. However, this angle doesn't reveal what there is, and so that is left up to the viewer's speculation. Two details that make this work I find are firstly the white car parked outside of the garage, and secondly the big arrow that says drive in. These are just details that fill the frame so that it's not boring, but it's not just anything, it's the specific subjects themselves that are also intriguing on their own that add to the composition. I like the outcome of this one. I continued to wander around outside the station and came to these stairs here from where I spotted an interesting angle for a photograph of the garage next to me. Here is the result, and I think it's not bad. I mean, it's not great either, but it still kind of works. I was enjoying the angle I got from here, which lets me peek into the garage, but also use that wall as a subframe. Then, I didn't see much interesting stuff coming up ahead, so I decided to return to the station and take the other path. Here, I found some light coming through a window, which I thought could be an interesting subject. here's the result, and it's alright. I still like the light, but I think I would have needed to get a bit closer. Especially the bright part at the bottom is quite a distraction, I find. So I had continued my walk for quite a while without shooting anything until I came to this garage entrance, which I actually have shot before on Kodak Ultramax back in summer when I walked past this place. I really liked the shots I got back then, and therefore I thought it would be fun to get the same on CineStill. This is it, and I think it's pretty cool for the exact same reasons that I like the original shot for. However, I actually think I prefer the original. I'm afraid this many highlights with that much halation is maybe a bit too much for me. Then I had gone up the steps and come up here where I got a nice view of the road, which seemed to me like an interesting angle to shoot, so I got a photo. This is the result, and it's okay, but I've kind of lost interest in the scene. Now looking at this, it's not as interesting as I felt it was when shooting. Then I got a similar shot from this side. Here's the result, and this one is better, I find. There's a clearer subject and the lighting is more interesting, especially with that spot of light in the middle. Then I got another shot from here from yet another angle. This is the result, and this one actually works quite nicely, I find. I was very unsure while shooting about having the car in frame, but now I'm really glad to have not only the car but also the shadows of people moving around in frame. I think this is what was missing in the first shot. The scene itself was not as interesting as the scenes at the beginning in the train station. Here, a standalone empty photo just doesn't work as well, but once you add some extra subjects, this photo really comes to life, I find. Then I was wandering around this building for a bit, which I think is a university. At one point I looked up and spotted some pretty interesting looking light, which in combination with the glass pattern I found intriguing enough to try a shot. This is it, and I think it's a fine detail shot of the building. I love the light and how it highlights the textures of the dirty windows. Then I found the atmosphere of the empty uni quite interesting and decided to get a sneaky shot through the window. Here it is, and it's not bad. Here the emptiness works, I find, probably because it's so strange to see this kind of place empty. By the sight of the many chairs, you'd think that this place should be a bit busier. So by now, the sun was slowly rising and the sky was beginning to brighten up in the typical blue hour fashion. I had come to this path with a row of lights and decided to set up a simple shot of this path. Here is the result, and it's okay, the path is interesting, but I'm afraid there are again a bit too many lights for my taste. Anyway, that was the last shot on the roll, and so that wraps up the morning. Interestingly, we had a much stronger start than the end, but overall I'm very pleased with the results I was able to get with this roll. What do you think? Were there any shots in particular that you liked? Let me know in the comments, I look forward to reading. I hope you enjoyed coming along. If you did, I'd appreciate a like on the video, consider subscribing if you haven't yet, and I'll see you again next week in the next video. Until then, goodbye.